We're heading to Francia for a brand new Assassin's Creed adventure. Hey there friends, it's Codiak here, one half of the team behind Legacy Gaming, and you heard me right. We're diving in to check out the brand new Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC, The Siege of Paris, to find out if it's worth your time. I've said it before, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla wasn't something Legacy Gaming was ever expecting to cover. But a few dozen videos later and a loyal following that stretches across the globe, we're doubling down on Ubisoft's latest adventure, The Siege of Paris. For the first time ever, our channel received an early access copy of a Ubisoft title, so I want to quickly thank them for hooking us up. You may not know this, but Livid and myself still work full-time, so having even just a couple days goes a long way to helping us put together videos. That being said, it's time to talk about The Siege of Paris. Here's the good news. The main story is really solid, and the changes the Ubisoft team continues to make to the underlying systems have really pushed the game in a good direction. The big difference in this DLC is the reintroduction of open-ended assassinations, and just like the games of old, you get an important target and it's up to you how you want to proceed. This level of freedom is something die-hard Assassin's Creed fans have been asking for quite some time, and I personally think it works well. You can choose to go in axes a-blazing like usual, or you can really unravel the clues in each area and end with a bang, a dynamic cutscene that skips the boss fight and rewards you for your efforts with an absolutely incredible over-the-top assassination. The entire story is anchored by a small cast of characters, led by a new villain, Charles the Fat. And for the first time in a good while, I actually felt like a Valhalla character was memorable and unique. Of course, we're not going to ruin anything here, but every time he was part of a cutscene, I paid attention just a little bit more because he added a layer of narrative depth that just has been missing from the game writ large. It's not necessarily about the writing either, but more about bringing an interesting historical figure to life and finding ways to embellish his personality. There were attempts to bring other characters up to this level as well, but only a few managed to even scratch the surface. Some were interesting, provided some nice color to the tapestry that is the Siege of Paris, but everything hinged on Charles. That being said, I'm no lout, and I know that players want more than just a new bad guy to kill, and here is where we start to run into the foundational issues that have dogged ACV since the very beginning. But before we get there, let's talk about the good stuff. I know it's not technically part of the Siege of Paris content, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the new level scaling system recently added into the game. If you don't already know, you can now set different thresholds for enemy level, and this ultimately keeps things in line with your power level. This was a game changer while I was storming across Francia because it actually made the game relevant and, dare I say, challenging. As I often say when reviewing a game, it comes down to the systems, and this new level scaling system is superb. Throughout Francia, you'll find different twists and turns, and in this case, we have to talk about rats. While exploring various parts of Francia, specifically the underground areas, you'll have to find ways to maneuver around hordes of ravenous rats. You can't kill them outright, but you can force them into grates and sewer drains for some respite. You can also turn this into an offensive boon with some new skills. I actually really enjoyed the new Rat Plague ranged attack, along with the other new additions, Golden Flame, which lets you tack a bomb onto an enemy for some easy damage, and Ghoul's Breath, which makes an enemy puke so much that the other enemies run away in fear. A little strange, but whatever. A few tweaks here, a couple new additions there, and you've got yourself the Siege of Paris. But sadly, this is where we shift back to the same old song and dance. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, it just comes down to if you like more of the same or not. Let's start with the weapons. There are two new types in the game. One-handed swords dominate the Siege of Paris experience, but it's actually the two-handed scythe weapons that provide a breath of fresh air into the game. Slotted as a heavy weapon, you can dual-wield these if you have the heavy weapon dual-wield bear skill. They're a nice addition to the game, and in conjunction with the swords, provides not one, but two new weapons for players to check out. I do feel like both weapons are kind of shoehorned in. The animations don't feel quite as satisfying as the base weapons, but I think people will enjoy these nonetheless. Another new addition to the game is the introduction of rebel missions, and while I initially liked what was going on here, I ended up really disliking this system. In contrast to the trading posts of Wrath of the Druids, the rebel missions allow you to go around Francia and help a growing group of rebels against the entrenched elite. For each mission you complete, you get a few hundred coins that you can use at the hub vendor for upgrades to your rebels, and some new gear in the form of the Reaper armor set. Here's the problem with this entire system. It's completely uninspired. The missions are about as copy and paste as it gets, and the fact that you can only pick up one at a time means you're fast traveling around the map more than you actually are enjoying the content. I was so happy to be done with this once I picked up my Reaper set because honestly, this was some of the most unoriginal gameplay in Assassin's Creed to date. None of the originality and freedom that we experienced in the main Siege of Paris campaign was present in this system, which ultimately made the contrast that much greater. Sadly, this is just another time sink that doesn't quite add into anything substantial to the Assassin's Creed experience. At the end of the day, you already know if you like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or not, so trying to review something that continues on that foundation may not provide you with a ton of new insight. What I will say is that the main story exceeded my expectations, and the slight changes that give players more freedom in terms of approaching these missions was a welcome deviation from the norm. Does the Siege of Paris pull a 180? No, absolutely not, and at its core, it's the same game. But over time, Ubisoft has made some changes that more closely align with what players have been asking for since launch. More stealth, more choice, and more options to play the way they want. Hopefully, this insight into the Siege of Paris DLC helped you decide if it's worth your time. This series has been a staple of our channel since the very beginning, and if you like reviews like this, do us a favor and hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing for more video game reviews, content, and guides in your feed. We also invite you to join us on Discord. We've got a great community of around 7,000 members spread across dozens of great games, so check out the link in the description to join today. Finally, if you like everything we're doing here at Legacy Gaming and you want to support us even more, you can now do so by becoming a member. For just a couple bucks, you're helping evolve the channel and take our community to that next level. Check out the join button below to learn more. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.